conversation I've had in years. My reflection in the dining window looks like a stranger I hate. The town square is a circle that never lets anyone leave the middle. I'm tired of the dust and the talk about the weather and the crops. The heavy doors of the mill are closing on the man I used to be, working for a pittance and dying for a dream that wasn't mine. The needle is moving and the shadows are starting to stretch. I've got enough fire in my belly to light up the whole interstate. Everything I own is sitting in the seat right next to me. I'm breaking the silence with a roar that can be heard for miles. The mountains are calling me like a mother I never quite knew, leaving the echoes of the hammer behind for the song of the tires. I'm a comet in the darkness, burning up the road to the coast. I wait until the shift change to make my move into the light. Park the truck at the cliffside and watch the mill smoke rise. Then I turned the wheel towards the west and didn't look back once. The chains of the past are snapping with every gear I shift. I'm a shadow in the moonlight, vanishing into the great wide open. I'm a ghost in the rear view, vanishing into the purple haze. The highway is a ribbon that's tied my future to the stars. No more ceilings or walls, just the infinite stretch of the blue. I'm breathing in the wild and exhaling the smoke of the mill. I've spent 40 years listening to the sound of other men's orders. Now the only voice I hear is the one inside my own chest. It's telling me to run until I find where the sun goes to sleep. Triumphant and reckless, I'm finally living for the struggle is a distant memory. The road goes on forever and the journey never has to end. Golden skies, I'm finally home. Blinking yellow light at the crossroads looks like a dying heartbeat in the fog. I'm Passing the diner where the neon sign is missing the R and the E tonight. My tires are humming a funeral march on the bridge over the muddy creek. I can see the ripple of the water catching the pale light of a lonesome moon. The dashboard lights are a dim green glow, reflected in the fear in my tired eyes. I'm holding my breath as I pass the lane that leads to her daddy's farmhouse. Every turn of the engine feels like a clock ticking down to an inevitable end. Wildfire smoke is drifting down from the hills where we used to hunt for treasure. The scent of her lavender soap still haunts the upholstery of this old bench seat. Rusty chains are clanking on the swing set in the park where we carved our vows. 1,000 stories are written in the dirt of these back roads I tried to forget. I spent a decade chasing a shadow while the real sun was setting right behind me. I let the bottle speak for me when I should have used my own damn voice to stay. Now the porch light is off at her place and there's a strange car parked in the drive. That's the price you pay for leaving a heart out in the cold for too many winters. I'm shouting at the wind 'cause the wind is the only thing that will listen to me now. I was wrong to think that distance could ever cure the sickness of a restless spirit. I'm dropping my guard and letting the truth cut through the armor I built around my heart. The road ahead is dark, but my mind is clearer than it's been in a dozen years. I'll take a long way out of town and leave the ghosts to their peaceful slumber. It's a quiet kind of mercy to know that life goes on, even when you aren't there. Spitting watermelon seeds on the back of your porch. We were the kings of the county holding the torch, tracing maps in the dirt with a broken stick, thinking that the bond we had would always stick. Thick as the humidity in a Georgia July, two kids convinced that we'd never say goodbye. The distance isn't measured in the miles on the road, it's the silence that settles under the heavy load. We traded our dreams for the bills and the pride, nowhere left for the young hearts to hide. The beautiful tragedy of becoming someone new. Now your house is filled with voices I've never met, and my life is a gamble with a mountain debt. Of the harvest and the price of the grain, talk of the city and the weight of the rain. The laughter we shared is a muffled old sound, lost in the noise of the world spinning round. Time is a thief that doesn't leave a single trace, except for the lines etched across a weary face. We're just two ships that passed in the morning light, losing our bearings in the middle of the night. Wisdom comes at a cost I didn't want to pay. Bottle and a dusty old frame, searching for the boy who shared my last name. It's okay that we're different now, even if I don't remember how to bridge the gap between us. Spitting watermelon seeds off the back of your porch. We were the kings of the county, holding the torch, tracing maps in the dirt with a broken stick, thinking that the bond we had would always stick. Thick as the humidity in a Georgia July, two kids convinced that we'd never say goodbye. The distance isn't measured in the miles on the road, it's the silence that settles under the heavy load. We traded our dreams for the bills and the pride, nowhere left for the young hearts to hide. A beautiful tragedy of becoming someone new. Now your house is filled with voices I've never met. My life is a gamble with a mounting debt. You speak of the harvest and the price of the grain, I talk of the city and the weight of the rain. The laughter we shared is a muffled old sound, lost in the noise of the world spinning round. Time is a thief that doesn't leave a single trace, except for the lines etched across a weary face. We're just two ships passed in the morning light, losing our bearings in the middle of the night. Wisdom comes at a cost I didn't want to pay. Half-empty bottle and a dusty old frame, searching for the boy who shared my last name. It's okay
that we're different now, even if I don't remember how. To bridge the gap between us.
Spent bleeding for a man and forgotten my name. The factory whistle sounds like a funeral march for my aid. I've seen the sun rise through a dirty window for far too long. The rust on the gate is the only thing growing in this dead valley. My dreams were gathering dust in the corner of a damp basement, walking the line until I realized the line was a circle. I got a suitcase full of nothing and a heart full of lightning. The engine is singing a hymn about the end of the world. I can feel the gravity losing its grip on my restless bones. I'm flying past the fences where the cows stare at the moon. The speedometer is the only truth I need to believe in right now. Trading the safety of the cage for the danger of the open road. I'm a spark in the dark, heading for the edge of the map. I didn't pack a bag, I just grabbed the jacket off the hook. Left my resignation letter on the kitchen table like a final prayer. The gravel crunched under my tires like the sound of a jail door open, man. By the time they notice I'm gone, I'll be 2 states away. The city lights are fading into the purple haze of the midnight sky. The night is a wide open ocean, and I'm finally learning to sail. Every mile is a brick I'm pulling out of the wall of this town. I'm finding the melody in the chaos of the rushing wind. No more shadows on the wall, just the glow of the dashboard lights. I look back at the valley and I don't feel the sting of the past. I feel the triumph of the escape and the weight of the new world. I was born for the motion, not the stillness of the assembly line. Finally breathing the air that wasn't recycled by a machine. 7,003. On my way home. 7,000 mornings. 7,000 free. 7,000 mornings. Yeah. 7,000 mornings.
Through the floorboards like a choir of forgotten sins. I'm sitting where the sidewalk ends and the wilderness begins. The label on the bottom's the only map I'm following tonight. I'm hiding in the darkness because I can't stand the light. My reflection in the window is a man I don't recognize. The rhythmic thumping of my heart is like a muffled drum. I'm waiting for the reckoning that I know is bound to come. The shadows are stretching their fingers across the dusty floor. I can hear the sound of someone knocking at the cellar door. It's a long walk home when you've burned every single bridge. I'm standing on the edge of a jagged and a broken ridge. The sky is a bruise and the earth is a cold hard bed. I'm haunted by the things that I should have never said. You see a man who's lonely and looking for a bit of peace, but I'm the one who provided the trigger sweet release. It wasn't an accident, it wasn't a twist of cruel fate. I planned the whole thing out behind the garden gate. I'm the wolf in the sheep's clothing that the shepherd never found. The silence in this room is the loudest thing I've ever heard. I'm choking on the weight of every single wicked word. The highway is a snake that's waiting for me to arrive. I'm the only person left who is barely even alive. is falling away. I'm a dying ember at the end of a very long day. The clock is striking midnight and the tavern starts to fade. I'm paying for the choices that I've already made. The key is in the ignition, but the engine won't turn. I'm just waiting for the world to finally start to burn. The cracked yellow line is bleeding into the oil stains on this lonesome stretch of blacktop. My headlights catch the skeleton of the old Sinclair station where we used to steal kisses. The air smelled like damp pine and the copper tang of an approaching autumn storm. Every shuttered window on Main Street feels like a cold eye watching me crawl back home. I pass the water tower with our names faded at under 20 years of rust and rain. My knuckles are white as bone against the worn leather of this steering wheel. The silence in the cab is screaming louder than the diesel engine ever could. Every mile marker is a tally of the days I spent running from the truth. Shadows of the oak trees dance across the porch where a rocking chair sat still. The moonlight spills like silver whiskey over the fields we used to call our kingdom. A broken heart don't make a sound when it hits the floor of a ghost town. There's a flickering lamp in the window of the house where I left my soul behind. Just walk away from the girl I buried my father's pride in a shallow grave. Left the mortgage on the kitchen table and took the only key that still worked. Now I'm staring at the darkened nursery window of a life I wasn't brave enough to lead. The guilt tastes like wood smoke and the bitter dregs of a bottle of cheap rye. Was a coward dressed in denim and a reckless dream of something better than the soil. God, I wish I'd crashed this truck before I ever crossed that county line 10 years ago. I'm finally letting go of the steering wheel and letting the medley wash me clean. The sunrise is a pale bruise on the horizon as I put the truck back into gear. I don't need a map to know that some roads only lead to a quiet final goodbye. I'm leaving the ghost to the night and taking the peace I finally found in the dark. In the dark, in the dark.
silhouettes against the wheel wells like a hail of bullets in the midnight air. I can see the silhouette of the grain elevator looming like a giant over the valley. The scent of wild honeysuckle is thick enough to choke a man who forgot the smell. I'm idling at the four-way stop where the town ends and the regrets begin. Pressure is building in my chest like the steam in an old locomotive boiler. I can feel the ghost of my younger self hitchhiking on the shoulder of the road. The shadows of the past are reaching out to grab the chrome on my bumper. Stars are burning holes in the velvet sky above the place I used to call home. A tattered flag snaps in the wind outside the VFW where we danced our first slow song. Memories are heavy as the iron gates on the cemetery hill under the pale moon. There's a hollow echo in the valley that sounds just like the name I used to whisper. I promised her a ring and a white fence, but I gave her a cloud of dust and a tail light. Found out too late that the city lights are just a neon light. Told a lonely man I sold the family legacy for a paycheck that burned through my pockets in a week. Now I'm looking at the weeds growing through the cracks of the life I should have lived. I ain't the man who left, and I ain't the man who stayed, just a drifter in the middle. Forgive me for the silence, forgive me for the distance and the bridge I set on fire. I'm standing on the ashes now, finally breathing without the weight of the world. Cooling down as I turn the radio off and listen to the crickets sing. Tomorrow is a different state, but tonight I'm just a man who came back to say sorry. Let the dust settle on the tracks I left behind on this long, winding road. I was trying to write a goodbye that sounded like an invitation to stay, but the words wouldn't come 'cause the truth was too heavy for the paper. You were moving toward the city, and I was rooted in the red clay soil. We shared a life like a book that we both forgot to keep reading, until we realized the last chapter had already been written in the silence. The pressure of the unsaid is cracking the windows of this house, and
And the ticking of the grandfather clock sounds like a final warning. Love didn't break under the pressure, it just evaporated like morning mist, leaving us with a geography that no map could ever truly explain. I watched you pack your heart into a box and tape it shut for good, while I stood in the doorway with 1,000 weights stuck in my throat. Now the distance is a canyon where my voice just echoes back to me. I looked in the mirror. Miles of silence. The porch swing is swaying in a wind that smells like rain and empty promises. I found a single earring in the couch cushions like a silver tear. Every time the phone rings, I hope it's a wrong number or a ghost, because the truth of your absence is harder to swallow than cheap whiskey. We grew apart like two trees searching for different patches of sun, until our roots were the only things keeping us from moving on. The air feels thick with the weight of the letters I never mailed, and the horizon is looking more like a wall than a doorway today. Heartbreak isn't always a storm, sometimes it is just a drought. Watching the person you love become a stranger in a different zip code. I gave you my hand, but I never gave you a reason to stay put. Now the highway is singing a song that I don't know the words to, and the distance is a thief that stole the warmth from my bed. I spent my words on the harvest while your heart was starving for a sign, thinking that providing meant more than just being there to listen. I let my ego drive the truck while you were walking in the ditch, blaming the miles when I should have been blaming my own stubborn feet. It wasn't your departure that broke us, it was my long-term stay in a version of myself that didn't have any room for your needs. I'm stripping back the layers of the man I thought I had to be, revealing a vulnerability that I've hidden for 20 long years. It's honest and it's ugly, but it's the only truth I have left. I am changing for the better, even if it's too late for you to see. The morning fog is lifting and the road ahead looks clear and cold. I'll keep walking forward even if I'm walking into the wind. There is a peace in knowing that you're finally chasing your light. I'll find my own way home through the quiet you left behind.
to lie, sold to the weary. 4 a.m. is a cold bucket of water to the face every single day. My boots are worn thin from walking the same 100 yards of tile. The grease on the grill is the only thing that shines in this zip code. Listening to the same gossip about people who never left the porch. Waiting for a miracle in a town where the rain never falls. The silver key is turning and the battery is holding its breath. One spark is all it takes to change the scenery for good. The horizon is calling my name in a voice I can't ignore. I'm taking the back roads where the ghosts can't find my tracks. The wind is a medicine for a soul that's been sick of the dark, leaving the echoes of the assembly line far across the ridge. I'm a wild horse finally finding the fence has been down all along. I watched the foreman's truck pull in as I pulled out for the last time. He didn't see the smile on my face or the middle finger in the air. I've got $300 and a tank of premium unleaded, heading for the places where the air doesn't taste like old iron. The town square is shrinking until it's just a speck in the glass. There's a freedom in the rumble that a paycheck can never buy. I'm leaving the smoke for the clean air of the high desert plains. The yellow lines are the only guide I'll ever need to follow again. Breaking the rhythm of the routine and finding my own beat. I spent a lifetime building things for people who didn't care. Now I'm building a memory out of every mile I put behind me. It's a long way to nowhere, and that's exactly where I wanna be. Reflection in the chrome shows a man who's finally found his peace. No more yes sir or no sir, just a rhythm of the rolling tires. I'm writing a new story on the blank pages of the western sky. The heavy heart I carried is getting lighter with every passing exit. Finding my religion in the roar of the V8 under the hood. Driving till the map runs out of ink and the road meets the sea. The night is young and the engine is my only true companion. Just keep rolling. Don't ever stop. Dust on the screen door. Your coffee cup sits cold on the edge of the kitchen counter, looking like a monument to the things we didn't finish.
morning sun is cutting through the dust on the floorboards, painting shadows where your boots used to lean against the wall. I've memorized the pattern of the wood grain in this quiet house, thinking back to the summer when we still shared the same air. The stillness in this hallway, screaming your name, and every clock on the wall is ticking like a heavy heart. The map between us is a valley of things left unspoken. It wasn't a the trail, but a slow drift of the tide. I watched you fade into the distance of a different dream, while I stood still, holding on to a world that already died. Now with silence is a mountain I'm trying to climb alone. I looked at the calendar and saw the dates I spent working while you were building a bridge I was too busy to cross. I thought my ambition was a gift for our future, but I was just buying a ticket to this empty room. I see now that my absence started long before you left, and I'm the one who put the miles in your running shoes. Protect my pride, admitting to the mirror that I was wrong to hold so tight. It takes a broken man to see the beauty in the ruins, and I'm finally learning how to breathe without the ghost of us. I'll leave the porch light off tonight so I can see the stars, knowing you're under the same sky but a different moon. I'm okay with the distance because you finally look free. Good luck on the road that leads you home to yourself.
Headlights cutting through the fog like a knife through thick regrets on a Sunday night. I'm passing the old sawmill where the saws have been silent for a generation now. The air is heavy with the scent of damp sawdust and the ghost of working men. Every pothole in this road is a memory of a journey I wasn't ready to take. My hand is shaking on the gear shift as I approach the house with the blue shutters. The
emotional weight of 10 years is pressing down on the roof of this cab. I can feel the gravity of the past pulling me toward the porch light in the distance. Fireflies are dancing in the meadow behind the fence we built with our own hands. A tattered screen door is swinging in the breeze like a heartbeat in an empty house. The silver lining of the clouds is the only map I have left to find my way back. 1,000 unspoken words are hanging in the air like smoke from a dying fire. I found a letter in the glove box that I wrote to her from a motel in East Texas. It's stained with coffee and the truth that I was too scared to mail it back then. I realized I wasn't running to something, I was just terrified of being known. The stakes are higher now that I see the life she built without me in the picture. I'm tearing down the walls of my own stubborn heart right here on this gravel drive. I was the villain in the story, but I'm ready to be the man who learns to stay. I'm breathing out the poison of the road and breathing in the grace of the valley. A small smile catches me in the rearview mirror as the first bird starts to sing. I'm not looking back anymore because the view in front of me is finally enough. I'm stepping out of the truck and leaving the keys in the dirt for the wind to find. Gravel and ghosts, shadows dance in the corner like the men I left behind in the rain. I'm trying to drown the thunder, but it's rattling my brain. This glass of rye is the only friend that doesn't ask me why. I'm staring at the ceiling, waiting for the stars to die. The wood of this bar is stained with 100 years. The wind is kicking up the dust along the lonely frontage road. I'm carrying it heavy in a catastrophic load. The air is getting thinner and the lights are turning blue. I'm running out of time and I'm running out of you. There's a cold
The cards on the table all showing the ace of spades. I'm watching the colors of my life as a memory fades. You might think I'm a widower mourning a tragic loss, but I'm the one who threw the silver and I'm the one who paid the cost. I sold the location of the hideout to the man in a black suit. I traded my brothers for a suitcase and a pair of shiny boots. Now the money is rotting in a hole beneath the sycamore tree. I can hear the ghosts of the gang riding hard across the plain. Every drop of water on the roof is a bullet in the rain. The devil is a hitchhiker I picked up miles ago. He's sitting right beside me and he's starting to show. I'm confessing to the shadows 'cause the preacher is asleep. I've got promises to break and I got secrets to keep. My soul is a desert where nothing is ever gonna grow. I'm just a man with nowhere left for a spirit to go. The headlights are sweeping across the empty parking lot. I'm trying to remember the lessons that I was never taught. The engines are idling and the night is nearly done. I'm still sitting here staring at the barrel of the sun.